Alright, there we go. Don't know what happened there. Yeah, let's take a look at this, news story, I guess. Let's see what the hell's going on. I guess they're watching members of Congress for stock tips. Okay. Shoutouts to Nancy Pelosi, the stock market's biggest whale. Queen of Invest. Oh, okay. I see what you're going for. I guess insider trading is like something you could try to trade on. And trades that Pelosi's performing well. Yeah. If you can't, I'm at the point where if you can't beat them, join them. Okay. I mean, depending on how well you actually do. I'd love to see this though. Love to see like when this was actually done, and what his P&Ls are. Pelosi is hard at making these stock disclosures so far. I filed more than 4,000 disclosures, 215 million. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and he actually posted this to Reddit. Huh. Okay, it's after the fact that after the disclosures are published, there's a bump in the stock prices. It's like that's kind of some weird alpha because it's like you only get to know 45 days afterwards. But yeah, I guess it says more about the political system than anything. Okay. Yeah. Bottom line is that 45% not really that good, and then also lawmakers are not good at picking stocks either. So I mean, I guess just overall it's not great alpha. So it's an interesting project for sure. Hi Sean, what's up? Let's see now. Okay, what else is on Hacker News that's worth reading? Muck's looking for, okay, see, analyzing songs. This could be interesting. Google to buy New York City office building for $2.1 billion. Alright, that's interesting. I guess Google is looking to expand still. Huh. Incident response, Hitchhiker's Guide to Kotlin. Okay, this could be interesting as well. I feel like I saw like sudo in system. Yeah, this could be interesting as well. Linux. Okay, so everyone, if you know, okay, so evaluate decider. It does not surprise them that choosing the correct path can be paralyzing or anxiety-inducing. In the end, most of us just use sudo to find manual invention. Okay. Okay, so what happens if you call sudo in an underprivileged program? I guess that's kind of what the talk here is about. When I could use standard library and call the application with standard library. Do not use system from a privileged program or set of okay. Because strange values for environment variables might be used to subvert system integrity. For example, path could be manipulated so that an arbitrary programming is executed with privilege. Okay. Use exec instead but not xlp or okay, blah blah blah. Alright. Use the exec family functions instead of xlp. We use a path environment variable. Okay, so basically it's saying that some system configuration could make underprivileged things run kind of funky. Okay. Summarizing, if you use system, do not use system if invoking from a program with set UID or capabilities. The program is found using path, invoking bash v2, or user inputs not sanitizing. Oh, shell injection. Okay. Sudo with coming back to the use of sudo with system, we might think of it as a bad combination. In reality, it is not so, as the corners are covered by sudo truly. Okay, so it's saying that it's going to do a deep dive of sudo itself. All right, hold up. Regarding the set UID constraint, it's hardly going to be an issue if you need to run sudo if it is exactly because your program is calling system sudo is not privileged. Okay, so it's just going to reject it if you just call system sudo if you don't actually have the actual permissions. Okay, that's fine. Caveat regarding path on binary cushion made it secure with 2 defenses. If configuration Okay, okay, you know what? This issue with shell invocation deserves special emphasis. Try hard not to use shell inside sudo for if any reason you need to pass user input to the shell command. It can be trivial to craft user input that allows. Okay, okay, that makes sense. It's just basically a glorified what's it called SQL injection actually. That if you have shell invocations inside sudo, then you are not serious about security. Okay, so basically it's just saying that in the same way you might do an SQL injection over a web request in the URL, you can do that with sudo as well. Okay, so if you need to, so an exploit of sudo is to run a script inside the okay, this makes sense. Okay, so it's basically just saying sanitize your input so that way you don't get like your so that way the input doesn't just run something arbitrarily in sudo. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's useful to know for sure. Zero tier. What else is new? Okay, so in case people don't know, what we're gonna do tonight's stream on is we're gonna talk to someone, one of my past clients, about his interview, and then he actually got a he's in team matching with Google, so I believe that means that he passed the coding interview for Google, and so we're gonna talk to him later on in about like 10 minutes about his experience with interviewing, his coaching, and I'm more curious to do this because the way I coached like 1 year before and today is actually quite different. I'm a little bit more involved in the coaching process and a little bit how to say, like, less into the optimizations and inefficiencies. I think before what I would do is like really try to dig deep into every single mistake the client was making. But nowadays what I do more is the macro level stuff, and then just give them 2 or 3 things to focus on. And I think that's worked a lot better since it keeps people to come back. It allows people to come back with new questions every single time they improve. It also gives them like a narrow focus. On top of that, I think the practice diary thing actually really helps my clients as well. So I think that's. So I'm actually curious to see like what his response is to how I do things, and like just kind of use it as like a time capsule on how far my coaching has actually come as well. So let's take a look at that. In the meantime, let's actually take a look at all these Hacker News articles. I think these are really useful to read. SEC doesn't see cryptocurrencies lasting long. Okay, I'm not going to comment on this. It's weird. Push defend its image. Yeah. Home price to income ratio. Okay, this could be interesting. Yo, holy fuck. Okay, home price to medium income ratio. This is kind of interesting. So 1954 looks like it was at the highest, and then in 65, it's like slow, drop, all the way to 70s, 80s, 89, and then boom, housing bubble, boom. If you take this at face value, you kind of just assume, oh, housing bubble. But realistically speaking, we're actually back in 1950s territory, unless there was like a housing bubble here as well. So I'm not really sure what to really make of this data. I feel like this speaks more about income disparity, really. I wonder how it looked like paired with mortgage rate. Yeah, I think taking the mortgage rate is actually is a very good observation actually. So let's see. Although I think you could just technically map this to treasury bonds, really. So let's actually see. Okay, so here's the mortgage rates actually. Okay, can I go ahead and... Okay, so let's just put this side by side just for the sake of ease of access. Okay, so here's the mortgage rates. Son of a bitch. And then here are the... So this is since 1975. So let's actually make the timelines match up. Okay, so mortgage rates increased, but this stays relatively the same. I think this is just stagflation. So you had the wait, was it stagflation? Oh no, something funky in the 80s where you have mortgage rates rising, but then you have the income. You should have typically incomes rising as well in order to make this average. And then ever since then, all this shit's been going downhill for the mortgage rates since 1980s. 1980s, 1990s. Yeah, so I think it's just the unexplained part is 1980 and 1990 part. But then everything after that, everything seems to be pretty correlated with an upward trend. As mortgage rates drop, the house price goes up. Although I think I would like to see this in terms of percentages as well. But personally, for me, I think most of this data actually kind of makes more sense if you take everything after 2000. So I'm not entirely convinced that this is anything to be worried about. The difference here is that we've dropped like the mortgage rates so significantly that it's probably not even an issue. Because like if you drop mortgage rates, then you increase the home prices. That's just kind of the way things work. And you consider the fact that the median household income has pretty much stayed pretty much flat. Then this graph kind of makes sense after 2000. Yeah, I think like after 2000, everything starts making sense. So I'm actually curious, like, what the heck happened here before? You know, if you go from like freaking 20% to like 12% to 10%, then you should actually expect this to increase quite a bit, but you actually don't for that same time period. In fact, actually, you see it decreasing. So I'm wondering what's happening there. Anyway, this was definitely very interesting as well. So let's see, median home prices versus median household income. Okay, so it's actually interesting. Let's look at the 30. Let's look at 15 years. So the housing prices have only increased since 2007. Okay. So it's saying in 15 years it's increased 40%. 40%. Same with the median income. Okay. So I guess like the median income actually hasn't stayed flat. It's actually kind of risen with the home prices as well. Although actually, if this is the case, I would actually expect the home prices to increase a whole lot more. I think really the bias is actually towards this point. When you start taking everything, comparing everything from 2011, 2012, 13, 14, then it kind of makes everything look scary. But right now, 2017 prices are the same as 2007 prices, so it took a decade for the housing market to recover. But I guess in this context, it's not that bad. And then you compare it to like the record low mortgage interest rates, it's kind of a no-brainer as to why this ratio kind of stands as it is. So I'm not that concerned. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else. Let's see what else we can look at. We got like a few more minutes before we bring on our guest. And so kind of to recap for the new people who are joining, we're going to talk to one of my prior clients who is undergoing the Google team matching. And we're going to actually just kind of use this as a time capsule to compare my coaching style 1 year ago versus now. And I kind of want to see like what he's done to improve himself, what he did, and like kind of like get his feedback on things as well. All right, one more thing. Let's actually look at one of the these news articles. Paywall. Fuck this. Why everybody's hiring but no one's getting hired. Yeah, I think there is actually a like one of the things that they really talked about is that even in tech, there's such a high demand for people that it doesn't make any sense that everyone's just like freaking leaving and no one's actually taking the jobs, even though they're offering like record pays and shit. So it's kind of interesting. Have you done any videos on giving good feedbacks to interview study buddies? I think it's like I think I made this point before, but basically, it's very hard to give proper feedback when you are both not competent enough to give that feedback. So like even though you might have good intentions and you might be like a study buddy to someone else and you're doing like coding interviews with them, The problem is that neither of you are qualified to give that feedback, and that's kind of like what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. Is that if you're not good enough to cut it at like an L3 L4 level, you're not in a position to give advice to like people at the L3 L4 level at the very least. And it's simply because you don't have the insight it takes to actually perform at that level, so you can't possibly give it to someone else. So I think the study giving feedback to the study buddy is more harm than good. I don't mind doing mock interviews in a sense of being comfortable with talking about your thoughts out loud to someone else. But giving that feedback is where I say, hey, well, maybe you're not qualified to do that. So that's why I don't feel like it's really worth doing a video on that. I think there's just like, it just like comes with too many problems that I don't think it's possible to. It's like the results are just not consistent and are pretty unstable if you do that. So I guess it's pretty close to time. So let's bring on our guest. Hello? Wait, hang on. I can't hear you. So let me do something. Okay, there we go. Hello? Nope, that's not it. Shit, why can't I hear you? Anyway, I'm gonna call back. Give me a sec. Oh, hello? Okay, nope, did that... Oh, there we go. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I had the site muted. That's my bad, my bad.
Yeah, no worries.
Alright, what's up? What's up? It's been, like a year or something, right?
Yeah, it's been about 8 months, I think. Yeah, it's been so long, man. How have you been?
I've been good. How about yourself?
Dude, I've been great, dude. I've been great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I guess like introduce yourself to the stream. Tell everyone a little bit about like, who you are, how you found me, and like, I guess our coaching session experience.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of been a weird experience for me. I graduated actually last year in the middle of COVID, so yeah, I didn't have. So basically, I am working now as a new grad at a fintech company, which is Fortune 500, the whole deal, Fang and everything. But yeah, about a year ago, I was just fucking lost, dude. I just graduated. No one was. I guessing you can say that everyone was hiring, but no one would hire me, right? So I think that's the age of old story. And how did I find you? I was actually practicing a bunch of lead code, and I think I was actually doing API. Yeah, I think I was actually doing API, and I found your document just by pure chance. And yeah, it's been quite a ride from there. And in
Oh,
terms of our first, yeah, sorry.
go ahead. I was like, you kind of paused there, so, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. In terms of our first coaching session, what do you want me to talk to you about?
Yeah, talk about like how that went. Like, I'm kind of curious about like, I don't quite remember exactly what we've talked about, but I think we did like two or three
Yeah.
sessions. And I kind of want to know like what you were doing wrong and what you like learned from it and how you improved.
Damn, dude, I was doing a lot wrong. Like, yeah, I think I did like super shitty in that. Yeah. Wait, can I cuss? I'm not sure if you.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, dude, I did like fucking shitty in that interview. I remember I was so fucking worried that I was actually going to like fail miserably, and I did, but for the wrong reasons, right? So I remember that I studied so hard from EPI that I was basically just vomiting the fucking problems, right? And I think you gave me one that was just straight from EPI. And in the middle of the problem, you just stopped me and told me, "You're doing fine, but you're actually just telling me the problem from memory, so you're not actually solving this." And that's like a huge red flag. That's a huge issue, right? So what that was the moment I realized that I was going about it wrong, and that's when I think I started getting actually serious for our next coaching sessions.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I think it's a really common problem for people where it's like, they try to make a habit of like, oh, I'm gonna practice so much, I'm gonna learn everything, but the what they try to improve on is like not actually their problem solving ability. They just try to
Yeah,
memorize the
the
answer and then just kind of
literally.
like move on. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's kind of what you
definitely.
did.
Yeah, definitely there. I think it's a problem of just not understanding what the interview is about. I think you talked about it. I know that you have redone the document, but I haven't read it since. Yeah, probably will on the end that system design session. By the way, good job.
Thanks.
Um, yeah, I think it's more of a problem not understanding what the interview actually is. So for me, at that point, the interview was just being good at lead code, right? So I think a lot of the misconceptions that people have are being around the algorithm section of the interview. And in my experience, that's like literally doesn't matter. Well, with an asterisk, right? It does matter that you're actually good at it, that you're not an idiot, and that you actually solve the problems. Like no one's gonna hire like the fuck up, right? But obviously, it's not the most important part. I think you actually have said it before. It's actually about being a good engineer. And the other half that I didn't realize that until I was actually interviewing is how much the culture component actually affects how well you do in the interview. So how responsive are these interviews to you, and also the kind of either hints or responses you get to your whole process, basically. So just to basically set everything straight, you do need to be good at these interviews. So I don't know who is this aimed at, but yeah, definitely don't go in expecting I'll just signal the correct answers and I'll get hired. No, you actually have to be good at these kind of interviews, and that's why I think coaching and actually learning and practicing it's like 90% of the way there, right?
Yeah, like you said, it's engineering at least at scale is a collaborative process.
Yeah.
So it can.
So what else would you like to know?
Oh yeah, no, I was wait, can you hear me? Hello?
Mm,
Oh wait, hold
hey,
up.
Edward. Hello.
Oh shit, I think my
No,
audio kind
but
of.
I can't hear you, man.
Uh oh fuck. He can't hear me. Wait,
Yeah,
can you hear me
yeah, I
now?
can hear you now.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. So Discord finally decided to work right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say is I was gonna say yeah, you're right. Like engineering is a collaborative process, and like at least at scale, you know. So you're gonna need to go back and forth and trade ideas with people about, especially even like with algorithms. And so like one of the points I try to make is like, hey, don't completely rely on the feedback that you get. And I mean, it is helpful, but it like
Yeah.
those hints. But it's like even in a vacuum, you should be able to get like pretty close to the answer, if not the answer, as well.
Yeah, definitely. I wholeheartedly agree that you should prepare for the worst, and that means no feedback whatsoever. So you, as like as an interviewee, you should be able to get to the problem from start to finish absolutely on your own. Those hints, I think, are mostly to engage in conversation with your interviewer and a chance to connect. I do think that a lot of the process, like you said, it's collaborative. So actually making a good impression on your maybe not your future teammates, but in some cases they are. I've interviewed a lot where the interviewers were actually part of the team that was hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely making a good impression on them, it's like essential to getting hired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the best, in my opinion, the best way to do that is really just actually think like a proper engineer and show
Yeah,
them that.
definitely.
So, and so yeah, let's talk a little bit about like go what you practiced after that, and your timeline after our coaching session, because I think we did our last one in November, December. Tell me a little bit like what you
Oh,
did about
our
after
last
that.
one was in January.
Okay,
Yeah,
January.
our last one was in January.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we basically worked on and off for like maybe like 2 months, 3 months or something like that.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
What I did was basically I did one every 3 weeks, I think, and it was mostly how I was doing. Right, a lot of the practice that you have to do is individual, but coaching helps you really get into the zone of what you actually need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, basically what I did was just build up on the things that we actually worked on, and I think a lot of what I did was actually apply, since before until December I actually hadn't applied to anything, and on December I actually had an OA for Amazon, which I think I did really well. That I actually got immediately called in like a week from doing that. But I failed the on-site, like I'm sorry, the phone interview miserably,
Hmm.
and I couldn't see it then, but I definitely see how it is a problem now. If you want me to talk about it, yeah, I can definitely get
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, I'm curious because I think it's also there's a lot that people can learn from successes, but even more that people can learn from failures. So if you,
Right,
so
yeah, definitely agree, dude.
so yeah, go ahead, talk
Um,
about them.
Damn, dude, like I fucked up. I really fucked up. Like I thought that I had it in the bag, and I started getting cocky.
Hmm.
And at that point, yeah, even from you, you told me that I was already like very proficient at the whole algorithm thing. But I think I just fucking sucked at behavioral interviews in general.
Hmm.
So when he started asking me about the leadership principles, yeah, I fucking sucked at that. So that was not fun, dude. I remember feeling so sad that I actually knew in my mind that I wasn't gonna get hired, right? Like even if I was like a prodigy of algorithms
Hmm.
or whatever, even if I were that, yeah, there was no chance in hell I was gonna get hired.
Okay, so what exactly did you fuck up in the behavior interview? Because I mean, I have a section on it, but it's like maybe it wasn't good enough. So like what caused you to fuck up? I should ask that.
Yeah, dude, basically, I didn't know how to answer any of the questions in the cohesive manner, so I didn't know how to translate my experience into words, and that's basically the whole part of the behavioral interview.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a section on the document that I remember in back in my day,
Hmm.
it was very short.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I remember that it made a lot of sense at the time. But I definitely would say, like, as a feedback, that you should maybe encourage people to actually practice the behavioral skills
Hmm.
more because they are quite important, especially companies like Amazon, if that's what you're shooting for,
Hmm.
or maybe something more team based like Apple. I'm not actually sure that those are the ones that I actually did an interview for,
Hmm.
and actually, Facebook recruiters reached out to me. I replied, and then they never got back. So yeah, that was fucking weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've learned in my experience that recruiters are just like fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, you do make a good point that I don't really stress the behavioral interview as much as I should, mostly because like the technical interview is already so hard as it is. The
Yeah,
relative time you spend on the behavioral interview is like should be much less than compared to like your technical interview. At least there's like the view I take. I don't know if you
yeah,
agree with that.
definitely. No, I think it's a great view. Um, Yeah, I think it's mostly a nitpick. I would guess in the sense that yeah, your whole focus or like 90% of your focus should be on the algorithm skills and actually not only algorithm skills, but I think it's more engineering skills, right? To how to problem solve, how to convey your ideas, how to not be messy, how to write good code, reusable code. I think the harder interviews were actually around design, like
Mm-hmm.
not system design, but object oriented design. So that's the thing that is really hot around hiring new grads.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely that.
yeah, and I think for new grads, it's kind of very hard for them to really present themselves in the right way. After all, because you've never been in a proper engineering environment, you've only been in the classroom. It's hard to really say how you are a proper engineer to begin with. So
Definitely.
so I definitely understand it's like a cart before the horse problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what else? After that, I actually had an interview with ByteDance, which are the guys that do TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually killed the algorithm part of the interview,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I learned that you actually have to be prepared for whatever technical questions may arise. They started actually getting really technical into database concurrency,
Mm-hmm.
and like shit, man, I just know what they taught me in school, so not much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that shit fucked me over so hard.
Wait, hold on. This
Um,
is for a new grad role. They're asking about database.
yeah,
And
it was really hard. I don't think it was a fair interview. Well, that interviewer, the my previous interviewer, so the way that it works, it was a three-part on site, but instead of doing it interview and then interview and then interview, it was spread in 3 different days.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, the first one I killed it, the second one I killed it, and the third one he really started getting the problem was super easy, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think it was just a variation of I'm not sure. I think you've done this also on your channel. Define the number of islands.
Uh huh.
Yeah, it was basically that, just reskinned. But he started getting really, really technical on the concurrency systems and system design that I was way in over my head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a fair interview, but if a word of advice for any new grads, don't assume anything it's fair, and yeah, just prepare, dude. Like,
I think I know why
I'm
he
not.
asked that actually. It's because you probably just studied it in school, and so he's probably asking mostly like straight from the textbook. That's really it.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So then you kind of so you went to ByteDance. Facebook never got you back. Amazon, you kind of like flopped because of behavioral. So up until this point, you're basically talking about like all the ones that you kind of messed up on, and it seems like the common thread is that you're kind of getting hit by these like small ones that you didn't really anticipate or practice that well for.
yeah, definitely. I think that's the case. Um, yeah. I think mostly the reason why you should apply as early as possible and as often as possible to get these kind of roles if you want to shoot for Fang
Mm-hmm.
is that you actually need to identify these things, and that's why I think coaching is such a like your coaching helped me not make these mistakes on
Mm-hmm.
interview from the algorithm side.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should have talked more about the behavioral part,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't made those mistakes. But for example, I think a lot of my friends actually made a lot of not being clear enough on their interviews what they're explaining their algorithm process,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't do that because I was already so accustomed to do it right with
Mm-hmm.
you and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely agree that it was basically like getting blindsided, if
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Yeah, no, that's that happens. But it's like if you can do the algorithm stuff, then you've already covered like 80-90% of it the way there, and you've already cleared the hard part. The rest is just like, oh, okay, well, if I need to fix this little thing, you know, and at least I have a better chance of getting a success rather than like me getting blown up on something that is so common and easy that I should have been able to prepare for it.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, I think I got really good. I don't want to be cocky or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I actually ended up getting, I think, counting Google, I think it was 4 or 5 different offers.
Holy shit.
Uh, yeah, so mostly were for Fortune 500. One was for a local company that, yeah, I didn't give a fuck at the end. I just was just applying to anything just to get the experience, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
And
that's
one I like to brag that it was actually the NSA.
Don't worry,
Yeah,
dude. That's pretty good. Like, you got like the fucking NSA, dude. I tried applying for the what's it called, the CIA myself, and
CIA.
it's like
Yeah,
they don't fuck around, man.
dude, that shit was fucking hard. Like I remember the questions. It was like the sieve of Eratosthenes,
Uh huh.
but a modified version from prime numbers. And they're expected to do it in logarithmic time, which I know how to do. So yeah, that was a fucking cop out. And also, I had a lot of pointer arithmetic. So yeah, I think I'm not sure if you remember, but I'm a C++ guy on interviews. So yeah, that definitely helped. Like, dude, I was so prepared for their interview because I had so many interviews before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
But yeah,
you don't need like 1,000 successes. You only need like a few successes that really really count. You know.
yeah, definitely. But I also agree with your point on. Yeah, I remember this so well on your document that you said there's an ocean of difference between someone that applies like 100 times and only gets one,
Mm-hmm.
versus someone that actually applies like to 10 and gets 8.
Mm-hmm. There's a very big difference. So I guess on that note, what was your success rate?
I think 80%.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I
That's
only
really
messed up
good.
twice. Yeah, I messed up twice. That Amazon one actually really got me fucked up, and I had a teacher who a professor of mine who actually went into Amazon very early on in his career, and he actually was telling me you should apply to Amazon. You should apply to Amazon. We were waiting for you here. And when I failed, like I got so sad, and
Mm-hmm.
he told me, I remember this, um, failing like you're gonna fail like 1,000 times. What's important is what are you gonna do now?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, yeah, I'm gonna keep trying. And he's like, yeah, that's just it, right? You're gonna fail, you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. But if you, whatever you do after you fail, it's like the important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? The fact that you got like an 80% success is actually pretty fucking phenomenal. Like, you know, everyone will say like, oh, you need to fail 1,000 times to do it to, you know, get one success. But it's like if you can just do those failures in practice, then you're gonna be successful in like almost any interview you do anyway. So it's like, why not just like fucking master it in practice?
Yeah, definitely that. It's like I don't know if you remember. I told you that this was like preparing for battle, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're in a comfort zone, and actually, like if you polish those mistakes where you're in a comfort zone, they are not gonna happen when you're actually in the heat of battle, right? And it sounds like super cringy, but it's actually fucking true, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the things I remember mostly was being clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bit of a problem with clarity. I always assume like everyone knows what I'm talking about, and I actually have this problem at work also.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in interviews, I had to constantly remind myself. Remember when I think it was the spiral matrix that I wasn't clear on anything,
Mm-hmm.
and you were telling me, "What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? What do you
Mm-hmm.
mean by this and that?" So yeah, I took extra care to be like super, super, super clear on everything that I was saying.
I
So
think I
yeah,
also told
if
you.
you
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I was
you
gonna
tell
say
me first.
now that you mentioned that, I'm pretty sure I told you to explain everything as if I was a 5-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking all the way through my interviews, like, this. Imagine this person is like a fucking moron and doesn't understand anything about engineering. How would you explain like this particular problem to them?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I actually got a good success rate. Like no cap, I think most of my interviews that were actual success rates were on problems that I have never even seen
Mm-hmm.
nor heard of. I
Mm-hmm.
think the ones that I actually did poorly on were ones that I already seen. uh, and yeah, and I was like just vomiting and not really caring about the interview at all. I actually think that confidence is such a huge part on like an unrelated note on this interview process. Just for Google, I honestly didn't give a fuck, dude. Like I'd already had my job at a
Mm-hmm.
FANG type company. I
Mm-hmm.
already got the TC, the experience, and everything. So I might as well just have fun with it. And that's the reason I think I did so well because I was just talking to my interviewers, explaining them all, discussing different approaches and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
just connecting with them. And in the team matching phase, I have a couple. I don't think I'm gonna be extended an offer because I did ask them for a bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them just straight up just gave me their personal emails and like whenever you're free, like you can just hit me up and we'll see what's up, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, no. Being able to connect with someone who's more experienced than you, is actually very, very fucking hard. The reason why is because usually to connect on that level, you really need to have been through the same experiences. So, like for instance, like for me, if I'm trying to connect with an Android engineer, I need to know that they have actually dove through the Android SDK, that they have dove to like being able to scale developer tools at to like 300, 500 developers. And so to be able to have that means that you're doing one of two things right. One is like having the experience, which you probably don't have since you just graduated. The other one
Yeah.
is that you are actually like you're thinking like a proper engineer, and that he's thinking of things the very similar way, and that you probably ask the exact same questions that he has, and he's like, oh my god, no one's ever asked me how I thought about these things. I'm super excited that someone actually took an interest.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the case. Yeah, I don't want to suck my own dick too much, but yeah, and that's I think definitely it. A lot of what we talked about were not as much technical details of fixed projects, but actually the design aspects of it. And we got really into compilers, which I'm not gonna bore your audience with it. But yeah, basically, I think was just finding something that we can both relate to and try to approach it from his perspective, right? So the thing a lot of new grad engineers always ask is, what technologies do you use and shit like that, which it's fine, but it's not really interesting to like senior engineers since they're so involved with the actual engineering process. But shit like that, it's honestly just like a throwaway,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being honest. So if you ask them about why did they took certain decisions, how did they advance in their career, what are the engineering challenges that they face like every day in terms like of not only technical challenges but design challenges like optimizations, dealing with people, third parties, and the such,
Mm-hmm.
you can get really you can get a lot of mileage from them, I think. So just like put yourself in your shoes and ask yourself, if I were like a 15 years of experience engineer and some like dumbass kid asked me like, oh, do you use Java? Yeah, it's probably just gonna be boring, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like usually the language thing is not very interesting to talk about unless someone is actually dealing with upgrading the actual language itself, or is reading
Yeah,
the actual like fucking nitty gritty details of it. It's like, what do you language you use and why? then it's like, and being able to have that conversation is either you're a very, very fucking noob or you're very, very fucking pro. There's no in
Yeah.
between for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, definitely agree there.
So I wanted to actually pivot a little bit to your successes. I know we talked about your failures of being like blown up by like, the
Yeah.
asking about like, the weird questions, and then you got cocky during the behavioral interview, and you said you did really well on the algorithms one. Do you feel that your algorithms one was the primary reason why you did so well on these successes? Was there any like weird stuff that the interviews like at Google asked you that you somehow were able to manage that you felt could have blown you up? Like, what were the tail risks that you actually avoided getting blown up by for these successful interviews?
Dude, the Google interviews, like no cap, I think they were the easier ones. I had harder interviews, but definitely those were more around the questions that I was asked. So as you
Mm-hmm.
say, I think my algorithm like knowledge, I don't want to say expertise because I still think I am aiming for that. So I'll still practice here and there just in case like I need to like bounce or whatever. But yeah, definitely knowing how to do things is gonna be like just implementing that because they are in a black box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these Google questions, the way they differ from other types of questions that I was asked is how much they get onto the why,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it gets to the point that it's annoying. Like, why are you choosing this? Why do you do this? Why are you implementing this particular kind of algorithm? And
Mm-hmm.
that's yeah, yeah, that's where I think it really paid dividends to actually know the things. I think you talked about how to study on your videos and
Mm-hmm.
your document, and that's basically it. Knowing why you do the things that you do instead of just like code monkeying it definitely will give you more success.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking about explaining your thought process. I'm actually talking about understanding the why of the algorithm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's better exemplified by your DFS versus
Mm-hmm.
BFS video. I think that's like a perfect example of that algorithm expertise paying dividends in the interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like understanding the nuances, understanding why things are more optimal in one way versus another, and what can go wrong if you use the wrong algorithm. It just involves actually paying attention to what you're doing and understanding what the trade-offs are with each one. And it doesn't really change for the system design either. And so it sounds like being able to fully understand like your own thoughts and be able to reason through algorithms was what really helped you do well in these Google interviews.
Yeah, definitely will agree with you there. I honestly think that also a huge part was just getting comfortable enough in the interview setting
Mm-hmm.
to actually be confident in my solutions, right? To defend my position. And I think that's now that I'm working as an engineer, that's something that you have to do quite often, right?
Mm-hmm.
To say, I think we should do that in this way because of this and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, for those hearing, like, don't really be scared about how it sound. It's actually much more chill in the office. Like, you're both engineers, you both know what's up. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're gonna explain to your professor or you're gonna fail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess like on that note, we have a question in the live stream of like how to cope with pre-interview nervousness. But you just sound like you were like so cocky as fuck that it never really bothered
Yeah.
you.
No, dude. Like, I act cocky, but I'm actually a nervous fuck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I had the nervousness at first. My first three interviews, like, I didn't actually eat anything just because I was so afraid that I would get a stomachache in the middle of the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the best advice I can give you is that you only need 10 seconds of being brave.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have like those 10 seconds, once you actually just push the button to join the Google Meet or whatever, then you're golden. You made it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I swear to God, once you start talking to this person and you understand that like he's just a guy or a girl or whatever you want to call it, um, you're gonna do fine, dude. Like, honestly, if you try to think of them like as these almighty gods that are gonna fail you or are gonna decide your whole career path, um, yeah, you're not gonna do it, dude. You gotta think about this as your future coworkers. And if you are not able to say something to your coworker, then you're fucked, dude. You're really fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point because again, like engineers, they're only human. They make mistakes, and chances are you probably made the same mistakes too. So it's like if anything, they're just like you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably bored out of their mind or so yeah, definitely. I think just think that you don't have any reason to be nervous. And I know it sounds stupid, and it's a really kind of hard to pull off since it's not you who's nervous. It's basically your body, right? It's like you know that you're constantly nothing's gonna happen to me, but your body's like in such a state of like run, run, run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely say build some confidence, lift some weights, dude, look better or whatever, and you're gonna have like more confidence when you're going to those kind of interviews, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
think about just think about explaining a problem to your friend, and if you can do that, then you can pass this interview no problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard. I'm not saying it isn't hard because it is, but you're gonna have an easier time.
Yeah. So I guess with that, let's take stock of like the your successes and failures. So you said before Amazon and ByteDance were the failures, and then Google and the NSA were the successes, right?
Yeah, I had two others, which are my current company and a local company, which yeah,
Okay.
those are really good. So around eight, I think we're six, so I get
Yeah.
four and miss two. Yeah,
Yeah. So for Miss Two, that's like 66%. That's not that's not 80, bro.
that's yeah, right, bro. I had oh no, wait, I actually got another local company. I completely forgot
Okay.
about that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
And anything else?
well, you can actually don't count the other one because it fucking sucked. So yeah,
You're just gonna pad your numbers, dude.
dude, like honestly, the interviews were fucking hard,
Uh huh.
but the company was like super lame. And
Okay.
honestly, yeah, I don't think I would count it honestly.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, and I mean, like, based on the failures, it wasn't like, oh, you should have been able to study this. I mean, again, the behavioral interview, yeah, that's something I can do. And then the bullshit database one, if that's the reason why you got blown up, then there's nothing you can really do about that other than, maybe I studied harder in school, which is like,
Yeah,
looking back on it, it's like, trying to overly focus on these like small ass things is not really the most healthy thing to do because then you end up like losing time on studying the things that are actually important. So I guess this all makes sense, and I'm pretty happy with the results regardless. So if you could don't mind sharing like numbers for like the offers that you got, that'd be I think that'd be something interesting for the stream audience.
sure, definitely. I think it was 120 base, and the extra shit all rounded up like 157 TC, total compensation for those who don't know. Which I think it's fair. I think Google can offer me more, but I'm honestly pretty happy. Like, a word of advice to other new grads: so it's don't care too much about money. Care about the experience you're gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, once you get good at the interview, you can pretty much move around. And a lot of the things I've noticed once you get into the whole, I'm not sure. I don't want to call it Silicon Valley as to sound like too mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
But once your foot is in the door, you can actually move around to any company you like. Like you're gonna meet people, you're gonna see a lot of different places. Like I said, most of these Google guys just gave straight up gave me their email and told me to hit them up if I wanted a position, right? So yeah, once you actually move past that line, it's pretty easy to move around if you're good. If you suck, then yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And since you've already started like thinking like an actual engineer, there's no doubt in my mind you're going to do very well in your position. And it seems like you found people at your current company who you really like vibe with and you can learn from.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do they share like
Thank you, dude.
the same care of like, hey, I want to be a really good engineer and do good work?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there. I think my manager. I'm a I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad thing, but I think I'm someone who really likes to dig deep in their work.
Mm-hmm.
And well, my manager actually told me that he wants me to, in January, put me up for promo.
Yeah, go for it, man. Like
Yeah,
it just like doesn't hurt. Like you if you're capable of taking on more responsibilities, then fucking do it.
yeah,
Especially if you find
definitely.
it interesting.
But yeah, definitely. I think sometimes you sell yourself a little bit too short. I think that first interview really sealed the deal for me
Mm-hmm.
because you were. I think I was kind of scared that you were just gonna tell me like the obvious things in your document, but you were really really thorough. Like I'm not sure what kind of how you do it nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, for me, like really diving deep into the things that actually fucking sucked and just straight up telling me like yeah, you didn't give a fuck. You're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you suck at this. You're not doing this. These are the things that are actually wrong with your approach, and this is why you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was invaluable, dude. Especially, really, it sounds like you were mean, but you weren't mean. Like you were truthful, and that's if yeah, I'm not sure who's watching, but yeah, that's definitely something that I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
To someone telling you the truth in an effort to for you to improve, that's fucking invaluable, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like my style is still pretty similar to what I do then. What I focus more on is a little bit more long term because I realize that if I give everyone like basically the same level of feedback as I do like some other people, like whereas like okay at 3 minutes you made this mistake, you could have shaved off 1.5 minutes by doing this. Why'd you do this? Like I focus a little bit more on like what's it called? The
The
small,
macro.
not literally micro. Yeah, the macro picture, and I give them
Yeah.
usually 2 or 3 bullet points to hit, and then I show them like how to study, and then usually after that, then we will say, okay, call me back in like 2 3 weeks once you've implemented all this. I try to make it a little bit more manageable for some people, because I think it ends up being a little bit more effective, especially because like a lot of these sessions they can be very very heavy, and like there's a lot of things that get lost in translation. So I think if I could focus on like just 2 or 3 things for the client and then make them drill and practice those 2 3 things, then it ends up being a little bit more effective. I think with you, I ended up covering a lot of ground though.
Yeah, dude. Like we even on our last time together, we actually made a document of everything that I was going to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that roadmap actually really, really helped. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're doing that with new students, but definitely that roadmap of this is where you are now and this is where you need to be definitely helps. Like, I think something similar to the whole around 50 hours, you should be able to do
Mm-hmm.
this and that. More personalized, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely like super helpful.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Show me the document.
Yeah,
I
let,
think I'm curious to see like how I wrote it for you in the past. Because I changed my style a little bit where I do more of a. I guess I'll talk while you're looking for it. I've changed my style to be a little bit more like, okay, here's the document. Here's like what you can learn from each of these problems. Here's like the takeaway problems, and here's what you're gonna focus on for the next week or next 2 weeks. I think that's the kind of style I went with. But with you, I think I might have done something a little bit more. I want to say not advanced, but like different. Like I'm
uh,
curious. So
yeah, I think this is it. Yeah.
yeah. I
So
guess
first we went. Yeah, you shared it to.
Oh, nice, perfect. Let me share it through the. Let me put it on
Yeah,
screen.
and actually ask you. Yeah, I remember this because I actually asked you to do a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and then watching you do it, I actually identify a lot of weaknesses on
Mm-hmm.
my own problem solving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Now I remember this one. Yeah, yeah. So like, I actually this is pretty similar to what I did do now. So it's like, hey, this is like what you did here. Here's why you did it. Like, and this what's it called this? It's very rarely you come up with an optimal solution right off the bat. Yeah. So like make things simple, make less likely to make mistakes, increase complexity. Yeah. So I take away the macro. I gave you the macro ideas, but I think I gave you a whole lot more. Than I
Yeah,
do most people.
definitely. I think the most. I think the best part about it was just seeing you do the problem
Mm-hmm.
and like hearing you talk and hearing you do all these things. And I remember that actually you didn't get to finish the problem because it was really hard. I actually picked like one of the hardest ones
Mm-hmm.
just to see you like how do you actually struggle
Oh,
because
you
I
gave me
think
the
learning
Towers of
how to
Hanoi one, right?
yeah, yeah, the Tyler of Hanoi, dude, that shit's fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like honestly, if someone would ask me that in an interview, I just would straight up leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, I think learning how to struggle is such an important part of doing the interviews. Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever's watching, like learn how to be uncomfortable. I think that's my only advice to you.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to be uncomfortable in those situations and learn how to work through them because you do have to present something. Like even if you don't complete it, your idea has to be 90% of the way there. Actually, in one of the Google interviews, I had most of my idea coded up and actually needed to fix some of the code because I knew for a fact that it didn't work. But my interview said, I know that you're pretty tired. This is your final interview. I know what you're trying to do. So let's just cut it here and, and move you on to your next behavioral interview. And I thought that meant I fucked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, they were actually pretty truthful about it. I think it was because I was 99% of the way there and there were minor bug fixes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because they
But
got.
yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say it's because they got into your rhythm. They knew where your roadmap was, and they knew eventually if you, since you had the proper thinking, you were gonna get there. So they knew, they understood like what you were thinking and how you were thinking.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's if I could summarize everything, it would be that like learn how to do that and you're golden. And it sounds like super simple, but it's super hard. It's one of the hardest things you're gonna do, learning how to interview.
Hmm. And more so, like it's more like learning how to think and think properly and convey those thoughts as well. Going back
Yes.
to what you said before with the Towers of Hanoi problem. I think once you saw me do it, you realized, oh, this is the way this guy thinks. I should try and copy it. And here's where I am doing things differently. And here's why I wasn't able to get as far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think it's kind of like if anyone's like drawing, it's like when you learn how to draw, you first emulate and then you make your own shit, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely would copy. If you watch a lot of ed videos, just copy what he does and then just do it on your own and develop your own different style.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's like there's no shame in copying because that is work that people have already spent hundreds of thousands of hours on. Why not just use it? This shit's already hard enough.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially, don't feel bad if you already seen a problem. Like, I know that a lot of people have like ethical concerns, but the interview is like fucking unfair, dude. You're gonna have so much random bullshit that if something helps you, you're just lucky, and luck is part of the interview.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's like if you're lucky, why not take advantage of it? Why would you throw
Yeah,
away your own advantage?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so then I guess one thing I wanted to cover is like your studying. It's like you mentioned that you had to change up your studying style, but and you had to focus on, changing the like what you focused on, right? So did you
Yeah,
keep like a practice diary or did you like.
dude. Do you want it? I
Yeah.
have like a bunch. This is just the one I did by hand before I actually moved back to lead code and binary search.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I want to
this
see like
may
how
be a
you
bit
did it
old.
because I have like a way I make students do it. I want to see like what you did. Can you grant me access?
Sure. Uh, anyone with the link? There you go.
Perfect. Pray for me, Ed. All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I see this. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now I remember. I remember this now. You basically, holy shit, yeah. You basically talk. You basically, fucking. Oh, you literally have every single fucking problem you did. The pseudocode, fucking fantastic. Yeah. And then it's like, hey, these are all the improvements that you can make. I mean, you didn't like do it the same way I did, but you did like less detail, but it still worked fantastic. So no complaints from me.
Yeah, I think you have to automate this in your mind. Like this is something that I wouldn't personally do in an interview. Like this detail,
Mm-hmm.
uh, definitely the call stack while you're testing, it's a super nice addition. I think every interview that I had, like I straight up copied it from you, and every interview that I had loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still use it like in my day to day, just like
Mm-hmm.
when I don't know, I have access to tooling, my internet is down or whatever. I just test it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, definitely the call stack is so important. The pseudocode, you won't have the chance to do it if you're actually shooting for the 35-minute mark. I know a lot of guys like to suck dick on the 35-minute
Mm-hmm.
mark from problems. But yeah, definitely. I copied a lot of what you did and just like basically iterate upon it until I basically find my style, if that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like the
So
things I
yeah,
say is like these are meant to cover like the basics.
163 pages.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, 160 pages. But like, yeah, the stuff I say is like these are the bare basics. These like the if you do this, you will solve any problem, but you won't solve it optimally. There's like some steps you can skip. There's some things
Yeah,
that are gonna make sense to you that aren't gonna make sense to me. That you can keep in your head. But it's like just being able to optimize on that solution that works. Like I've given you the path forward. All that's left is for you to make it your own.
definitely, dude. I think I 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think optimization is such a huge deal on the interview. Like you definitely have to have your process down to a T. That you have to remember it. That you have to like basically live and breathe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And again, like once it's become intuitive, it's just like, you could do it like eight
Intuitive.
ways a Sunday, just like fucking blindfolded even. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think this is absolutely a fantastic example of like, hey, as long as you focus on the right things in engineering, it doesn't take you very long to get good at these interviews. And like what you're doing right here is perfect proof of that. Even though you did like a shit ton of problems, each one of these problems was like meaningful. And you basically didn't spend more than like 50 hours after our coaching, like actually getting really good at it. And now you're like at a point where you feel like you can master any interview at all. So.
yeah, definitely, dude. like yeah, that's why I messaged you. Like I really feel so thankful that just for that. Like even if we didn't have any other interviews about that first one, I think yeah, I'm really thankful that you just opened my eyes to see that. Yeah, basically this is just good engineering at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm glad you saw that as well because like the big thesis I've had for this entire fucking time was that if you know how to be a good
Yeah,
engineer, you're gonna do very well in these interviews anyway, and the people who are judging you are gonna see that as well. And so yeah, like I'm glad you see things my way.
yeah, definitely. Dude. I think I'm not the same person that started that. Yeah, on that first session, I think I changed a lot, and that's actually impacted on how I do in these interviews.
Hmm.
And yeah, whoever's watching, listen to Ed. That he knows his shit. What can I say?
And not only that, you've also managed to incorporate that into your day-to-day job, and you've become a better engineer, arguably.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I think a lot of what you say actually reminds me of a book called "The Science of Expertise." It's called Peak. It's a really good book. I recommend it to anyone who actually wants to read it. It's about how to actually get good at stuff, and that's basically your whole philosophy. Do that? Just actually tell yourself to get good, identify your mistakes, iterate upon them, become better and stronger, and yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's fucking fantastic, and I'm glad. And like, I guess to kind of like wrap things up and not belabor the point, I think that I'll definitely go check out that book myself. I guess as a last shout out, is there anything you want the audience to know? Anything that you think I could have done better, or anything that you would want to see from me in the future?
Hmm. Definitely, I think a bit of focus on the. Yeah, it's gonna sound very sociopathic, but
Hmm.
you just when you're starting out as a new grad, you don't know how to deal professionally with other people. So definitely, like a quick guide on how to actually convey your ideas, how to actually talk, what to study in the interview if you are giving those roles, because some people actually ask you about the role, some don't.
Hmm.
Especially when you're a new grad, you're not my manager actually confessed to me like we didn't expect you to do anything for like 5 months, and I heard similar stories for my friends at either Amazon or Facebook that yeah, basically that they don't expect new grads to do absolutely anything. So yeah, do things basically,
Yeah, pay
and
off dividends in your fucking career, man.
yeah, definitely do, like compound interest. I think it's called like just do a little bit every day, and yeah, you'll see results.
Hmm. Yeah. And so you know what? Like, feel free to add me on LinkedIn, man. I'm very curious to see where your career goes. Like, and
Sure,
like,
sure
I
thing.
love adding people who share the same philosophy as me, man. And if you know anyone else who needs help with a coding interview, I'm doing this thing now where it's like, well, with people I really believe in, I'm willing to take like a stake in their success, and I don't get paid until they get paid. You know, like an income share agreement. So,
Oh, dude, that's super nice. Yeah, definitely. I only have like a couple of engineer friends. Like most of my other friends don't actually think like me, which I think it's sad. I think do need more. I think we need better engineers, honestly.
mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
definitely would send them your way, dude. I'm so thankful to you, dude. Like honestly.
mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. Add me, spread the word around, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head of like why I'm doing all this because like I'm sure you've started to notice this is like people really don't engineer as well as like the reputation says they are. Oh, you're in Silicon Valley, you must be
Yeah.
a great engineer. Turns out, no, you just learn how to copy paste code and you've managed to luck your way through an interview, and that's like 80% of engineers out there,
Of
and the last
engineers.
yeah, and the last
Yeah.
20% are the one who are actually carrying the entire fucking code base.
Yeah, to add to that, I think there's a world of difference between a year of experience versus 10 years, the 1 year repeated 10 times.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely think that's the case. Like so much of this don't actually think about their code and actually do a lot of the things that I was expecting to do. So I'm thankful that all of my team has like the same mentality, and that's part of why I'm not exactly jumping ship to Google anytime soon.
hmm.
But yeah, dude,
Yeah,
definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
hmm. Yeah. And as like a final piece of advice before the stream ends, I definitely recommend you stick with these people because finding people who are very dedicated to their work and who can stick with a project for a long time and who are learning, who really want to learn to grow and do new things and really improve on themselves. It just feeds back to you eventually. You like someone brings in a new idea, you try it out, you build on top of it, you bring in new ideas yourself, and everyone helps each other grow. Like stick with these people for as long as you possibly can until you feel like there's nothing more that you can get.
Yeah,
And keep these people as context. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I had this experience at Apple, and I can tell you that I would not be where I am today without them. So if you're turning down Google for this, I think it's a very good reason.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, it's a. I remember watching the video where you're talking about Apple, and yeah, it's so weird that it reminds me so much of my experience now of just having to stay where you're actually growing, right? You even if you're moving to like higher TC or greener pastures or whatever, and you're not growing or you're not doing anything, if you're the one that everyone is learning from and you're not learning, then yeah, I think it's time to jump ship.
Yeah, for sure. I guess since there's no more questions in the chat, honestly, this has been a really fun interview to do, man. Hit me up in the
Yes,
future,
here.
anytime down the road, and I'd love to chat sometime. Are you in the Bay Area, by the way?
I'm gonna move to the Bay Area. That's they're gonna readjust my TC when I'm actually moving. So right now I'm actually earning less than I should
Mm-hmm.
because of fucking COVID. But yeah, once I move the yeah, I'll be in the Bay Area. So yeah, hit me up. I'm here.
Yeah, I'll be here too. Let's all do like some fucking coffee thing. Like I'll bring like some other clients who got like really good offers and who have also done this as well and who think alike. We can all sit together and just like chit chat and fucking like shoot the shit together.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Thank you for interviewing. Thank you for jumping on stream with me and talking about your experience. Everyone who is in stream, you can hit them up on Discord, BigChoke, and tag him in the chat.
Something less stupid.
No, it's
Yeah.
a memorable name. It's a memorable name. I
Yeah.
can tell you that. All right,
All right, dude. Have a good one.
all right.
Good
You
night.
too. Take
Good
care
call.
and
All right.
congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
All right, I guess for the last few minutes, if are there any other questions in the stream, I will go ahead and answer them. So, Cedar, I worked on Apple Music for Android for 4 years, and during that time, I started off as a new grad. Then then I re-architected their entire freaking system, and added like I guess you could say call me like a technical lead on that regard. So yeah, and that's basically what I did before I jumped ship to Uber. And so I guess with that, you can also see. I think I talked a little bit about this in my video where I actually talk about like my experiences of Android at Apple and then whether or not it's worth becoming a senior engineer in 4 years. So those videos are up on my channel. And to the rest of the stream and to the rest of the people, yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys learned something from this. And as always, if you want to get coached yourself, you can book me for interview coaching at echantech.com. Otherwise, you can hit me up on Discord. I'm pretty active on there. And yeah, you know what? I will see you all later. Good night.